Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Euroman Movie Report, the show where I talk about a movie I have recently watched at my local movie theatre. This week I'm going to talk about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is, as you guys and girls of course know, the 21st movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's a somewhat prequel to the current iteration of the MCU because it takes place in the 1990s, long before Iron Man. And what it basically is about, that you guys of course know, that in the end of Infinity War, before Nick Fury gets vaporized after the Thanos snap, he has a pager where he sends a signal, and there was this logo, and for those who have read the Marvel comics, we know that the logo was of course from the character Captain Marvel. And this character is of course played by Brie Larson, a very controversial character in Hollywood because besides from being an actress, she has this SJW agenda where she constantly speaks about that men of a certain ethnicity are bad, and there was even a story where she didn't want to be interviewed by certain men of that ethnicity, and I must say, it's a somewhat weird times that we live in. Yeah, and because if it had been the other way around, that an actor or actress didn't want to be interviewed by a journalist / reporter of another ethnicity, then that person would have been labelled a racist. But anyway, back to the movie. Brie Larson, of course, plays the character Carol Danvers, who we know, or we learn, has been transported off Earth to this alien planet, where this race, the Kree, they reside, and they are at war with these shape-shifting aliens, the Skrulls. And the Kree and the Skrulls war is a integral part of a story arc of the Marvel comics. And if I remember the animated Marvel series from the early zeros, the Skrulls were the bad guys, but it turns out here, and here's of course a spoiler, that the Skrulls aren't the bad guys here. No, they are a oppressed alien race, and the Kree are the bad guys. The Kree led by a being called the Supreme Intelligence. And if you have seen the previously mentioned animated series from the early zeros, then this Supreme Intelligence looks like something. It looks a bit like Krang from the Ninja Turtle series, but a whole lot bigger. But in this movie, the Supreme Intelligence is visualized by Annette Bening, and she does her thing, and of course Carol Danvers' character, Miss Marvel, she goes to Earth, or she crashes on Earth after hunting some Skrulls. Before she learns that the Skrulls are in fact the good guys in this show, and her Kree police force colleague Jude Law, he is racing to Earth to find her, but it turns out, spoiler alert, that he was the guy who before the end of the movie shot her and the real character portrayed by Annette Bening down, and it's a somewhat confusing plot in my opinion, unlike the previous Marvel movies. And Brie Larson, she looks very angry in several scenes. I don't know if it's on purpose or is supposed to appeal to a certain demography of the audience, but she goes, and it's like, yeah. I must say, I'm no fan of Brie Larson's acting because it isn't very good. But Sam Jackson, who of course portrays Nick Fury, he really carries the movie in my opinion. He really does a good job. And if it hadn't been for him, then this movie would have been a total bomb in my opinion. Of course, there's also a cameo by Gregg, Agent Coulson, and his de-aging, unlike Samuel Jackson's de-aging. It looks a bit like Patrick Stewart at the end of Wolverine. So it was, but Sam Jackson's de-aging was really good in my opinion, and of course he is he was great at delivering his lines as always. So as I said, he really carried the movie. Ben Mendelsohn, who plays a Skrull commander, he is also good as well. The CGI in the movie, yeah, it's fairly good. Besides, of course, Gregg's de-aging. I only watched it in 2D, but the scenes on the Kree homeworld, they were fairly good as well, and also the outer space scenes. So all in all, what else is there to say about Captain Marvel? Yeah, of course, it sets up with an after credit scene for Avengers Endgame. But in general, is this a good movie or a bad movie? Oh, I will say it all depends. It all depends. If you are a great fan of Brie Larson and her so-called quasi-political agenda, and if you were a fan of the 2016 Ghostbusters flick, the all-female so-called reboot, then of course you will enjoy Captain Marvel. But if the continuity of this story is like, hey, if now we have you of course remember the Tesseract, the whole thing about the Tesseract, we learned previously, it's someone it's somewhat turned on its head here, because it doesn't fit the continuity, the previous continuity of how it's discovered. It doesn't fit it, and the whole stuff about Brie Larson's acting and her socio-political agenda, it somewhat ruins the movie, because let's face it, Brie Larson, she might have a pretty face, but she isn't that great of an actress in my opinion. If you instead had, for instance, taken Charlize Theron, I know she's very much older than Brie Larson, and inserted her in the MCU as Captain Marvel, I'm sure that she would have done a better job as Captain Marvel than Brie Larson would, because let's face it, Charlize Theron, she can act, unlike Brie Larson. And Jude Law, of course, not to forget him. He, in my opinion, he was just filler, but he did a fairly okay job, in my opinion. And of course, as I said earlier, Ben Mendelsohn, he is okay too. And it was a bit fun to see Ben Mendelsohn as the good guy in a film. We have gotten used to seeing Ben Mendelsohn as a bad guy. But I must say here, seeing him as a good guy, that was fairly good. So if I'm going to rate Captain Marvel, I will give it, 2.9 out of 5 stars. That's it, Euroman of Euroman's Movie Report. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, if you liked this review / movie talk, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to watch my previous reviews / movie talks, you can click a link in the description. I will return next weekend with another movie review / movie talk. Until then, have a pleasant weekend, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.